Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. In my last video, I talked about the barriers that a single individual in the United States gets. Right, you got all the costs of single life on your own, right? You have one income, or at least one person to provide the incomes, right? I do have multiple incomes, but that comes at the expense of other things that I like to be doing in my life. You got one set of hands. The same hands that provide the income have to also cook your meals and clean the home and do all the other things that keep the lights on, right? And if you want to get out of that hellhole, you also have to provide for that, right? And that's the barrier that I'm facing right now. So let's imagine this is the cost of single life, and I want to get to the cost of some kind of committed relationship life, which is down here, right? Unfortunately, most people, at least here in the Western world, have to go date and potentially run into a lot of difficulties while doing that, and then hopefully land into a relationship, right? And don't forget, not every time does this pan out, right? Sometimes you could end up with this expense and still end up here, right? Or you could end up with and then have to end up with more expenses to get out of it, right? That's the worst case, and end up with baggage. You might have children to take care of, right? But I thought about last video. I talked about this could cost anywhere from 10,000 to 100,000. I don't throw those numbers out of the sky. I did some Googling. The average relationship lasts 2 to 5 years before you get married. And so I estimated all the costs of that relationship, right? And so not just the financial costs of, oh, I got to take her out to a nice place or whatever, but also the opportunity cost, right? After all, both she and I are busy people with multiple jobs, multiple careers. She's in the midst of a career pivot right now. And don't forget, there could be multiple people that you date during this time as well, right? That's why the up and down. But I estimated it at the peak of dating season in your life, you could be spending anywhere from $2,000 to $20,000 a year. This is per year, I should say, on dating. Not just the money, not just what you charge to your credit card, but also what you give up in terms of your career, right? And I don't throw these numbers out of the sky. 20,000 would be roughly a chunk of your life, right? Most people here in the United States make anywhere from $50,000 to $80,000 a year. So then that's not unusual for you to have to put aside some of your career and also charge something to your credit card, right? On the low end of things, you could end up with a short relationship with an acquaintance that you hardly even see for coffee, and it just turns out really well, right? And so 2 years times 2,000, that's $4,000 at the low end of things, or it could be 5 times 20,000 or 100,000 on the high end of things. And that's the investment you have to pay in order to go from that to that, right? And I'm kind of just thinking it might be a middle ground. It might be 30 to 50,000. And so I don't throw these numbers out of the sky. But then again, that's about as much as I bankrolled into my bismuth art career, right? Right now I'm sitting on 3-4 tons of bismuth, which is going for roughly $10,000 a ton. So it's not unreachable, right? But it's a burden that I have to invest in. I think it will be easier for me to do it if I see it as a form of investment rather than just being consumed, right? All right. So it's on par with other things, right? After all, 30,000, that's about as much as I put into my Roth IRA over the last 5 years, right? 5 years ago, I was here in Taiwan as well. It seemed just like yesterday, right? Uh, this is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.